Alrighty, so second news of the day type thing. Looking for roster cuts online and just come up with some storylines as we look towards the 23-man roster that everybody has to get to in time for opening night. Nolan Patrick has a migraine disorder. This came out today through the Flyers. He's week to week. So for Nolan Patrick, this is another setback, and it is an absolute shame. This is a top prospect for Philadelphia that can't catch a break. Like, he has had some of the worst luck of any prospect that I can think of over the last couple of years that's joined the league. The remaining restricted free agents: Raanta, Laine, Connor, and Honka. Julius Honka really stands out as the guy that's a surprise out of those four that's still holding out. I get the feeling he doesn't want to sign a contract with Dallas, that it's more of a they'll trade his rights and then whoever picks him up signs a contract. And then we'll see something happen. But with the other three, they're still out there. And we are less than a week away from the start of the season. So the closer we get, the more likely we are to see one of two things happen. Either they don't sign before the season starts, or they sign, and because they're behind all of these guys who've been in training camp now for a week, 2 weeks, they're going to be behind in their conditioning as well. So we're already into that kind of tough, unfortunate time for those four players, I guess. But the three big names are the big ones. They're really the ones that you can expect to garner a lot of attention over the coming week. Rod Brindamore came out today and said that Ryan Dzingel is worse than day-to-day. There wasn't a whole lot of reports on this, but he's worse than day-to-day, but that he feels better today than yesterday. They're not saying a whole lot more than that. And Jake Gardiner apparently has an injury that kept him out as well, or at least kept him off the ice for practice today. And you pair that with the fact that Gardiner signed a lot later in the summer than was expected, and that there's possibilities over concern regarding his back, keeping teams away from signing him to a long-term contract. You have to wonder if maybe his back's flared up on him. So yeah, we'll see where things end up with Carolina, and how bad things are for Dzingel. Again, he's saying it's worse than day-to-day, but he feels better right now than he did last night when the incident took place. So that's where we're at. Lower body injury for Raanta. He's day-to-day. And if you're an Arizona fan, you got to kind of go, oh, not again. And just in general, Raanta missed a lot of time last year with injury. And again, this is kind of where things start, is day-to-day. I remember the year that Carey Price played 12 games. And when he first went down with injury, it was, that's day-to-day. He'll be back. It's not a big deal. And then it evolved. So, again, it may be nothing, but when you see a guy who's coming off of a year where he missed a lot of time with injury, these day-to-day injuries can stretch out. Boston, Senyshyn is among those that got sent down by the Bruins today, and Vakanainen got sent down as well. I think with Vakanainen, the way I see it is this. He's young, needs some experience, and you're better off having him play top 4 minutes in Providence than play top 4 or bottom 2 minutes, I should say, with Boston. So, or even be the number 7 guy and sit out healthy. The interesting thing is the guys who are still playing, or still at least up with the team: Trent Frederick, who may very well break opening night on the roster. He didn't show any offensive side to his game last year for Boston, but he was a good fourth-line option. May very well end up being part of this team. Zboril stands out as a guy who's still with the team. Studnicka, of course, who scored with the ace. And so he's still with the team, and we'll see if he makes it. Cehlarik, I don't mind Cehlarik. I could see him being in that bottom 6. And Bjork. Bjork stands out as maybe this is the year he avoids a major injury, and the consistency's there, and maybe this is the year Anders Bjork finally is a regular on the Boston Bruins roster. The one thing I'll say for Boston is there's a lot of comments about how, there's a lot of players on this team that are over the age of 30, in Char's case over the age of 40, so the team's on their way down. They have a lot of good young kids. I don't know how much, elite talent you have with these kids, but at the very least, there is no shortage of prospects for the Boston Bruins, so there's the potential that the veterans we see in this lineup could hand things off to those kids over the next couple of seasons. And a guy like Frederick stands out as potentially being a good two-way center. And no better guy to learn from than Bergeron, right? There are 27 players getting on a plane to go to Europe with the Chicago Blackhawks. By the time they come back, 4 of those guys will be cut. So one of the guys who got on the plane to go over is Doc. Bowman said he does not expect Kirby Dach to play any games over in Europe, but he wants him to at least practice with the team and get an idea of where he's at. I think Dach probably still ends up getting cut and sent back to juniors this year, but I think they at least want to get him on the ice, get him out there with players, and have some idea of what he's going to need to work on over the next 12 months. And they don't want to just release him back to juniors while he's in this state dealing with concussion symptoms and all this stuff. They want to make sure he's okay before they send him back. But we'll see, right? He may very well make a debut sooner than people expect, and we'll see what happens with that. In a different color on this board, because it's not a player who's currently playing and anything like that, but Guy Lafleur had major heart surgery in Montreal, so our thoughts are with him. Quadruple bypass is not anything to sneeze at. And he's, I believe it said 68 years of age. So, Guy Lafleur, hoping he's out of the hospital as soon as possible and back on his feet. One of the all-time true greats in the game, right? So yeah, I can't really transition from that, so I'll just go on to that last article on here, which is Paul Maurice wants more goals from Nick Ehlers. So as I mentioned earlier, Laine and Connor, it's still out there. They're not playing. They're not signed. So Nikolai Ehlers, this is the year that if he's going to step it up and start to show, all right, this is why I get paid this amount of money every year. This is the season to do it. Look for the Winnipeg Jets, who are trying to mold this roster around the guys who aren't there, including of course Byfuglien. Watch for them to lean on some of these players and try to get an idea really early in the year about what they might need to do, what kind of trades they might need to make, who's going to stay, who's going to go, and what they're going to do about these situations that have cropped up, which are not fun for Winnipeg Jets fans and likely not fun for the team either. I'm not discussing the whole Leafs thing that the media is talking about today. There's certainly a lot out there with the whole Leafs thing, and I'm talking about Matthews' situation. I get the feeling, and I agree with what I've seen on Tim and Sid, what I've seen on Primetime Sports. I think we're going to see a lot more stuff come out over the next few days. Wait for security footage to come out, and then we can come back and revisit everything and get it all in a ball and figure out whether we're going to kick it down the road and just say forget it, or if there's something else to this. The one thing that I will say is sometimes the crime is not as bad as the cover-up. You can be in trouble for covering something up, and regardless of the reason or how it works, the cover-up can be worse than the crime. So again, it's not on the board. I'm not talking about it right now. Just throwing out there for people like, when's he going to talk about this again? I'm waiting until more stuff comes out. There you go. You're all caught up for now. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support, and I will talk to you again soon.